Oh, we're preparing. We're preparing. Oh, we're setting it up.
Amazing.
Okay, I think we are live. Almost. Yes, we are live.
Exciting. All
But now I
right.
have a weird echo. All right.
So then let's start. Hello, everyone. Here it's me. My name is Andre. I'm a very new senior software developer, front-end developer in GitLab release team, accompanied by Andrew, who is a seasoned senior front-end developer in GitLab release group. And today we want to have a pair programming session where I will be in the driving seat trying to actually fix some issues with my merge request while working on the following feature that we can see over here. So the original issue was about the merge request widget on the merge request page with a certain review environment variable being too long, and then provides suboptimal visuals for the for mobile screens. So this is the issue that I originally wanted to fix, which I did, and we can see it, I think, kind of here. So this is the branch name that is too long, and then if we make the screen size smaller, it's not overfloating anymore. It's just being truncated over here in the middle. So following our implementation workflow, I have created a merge request. Over here was the implementation. And I gathered some comments that I fixed previously, but one of the most recent one is actually pointing out that the merge request pipeline is red, meaning that some of our tests are not passing anymore. And this is something that I want to fix right now. So how do we check the pipeline state? It's actually here, and this red cross over there points out that something is wrong. And here are the jobs that actually failed. So my problem was that I have not expect AirSpec issues to actually run any JavaScript code in their pipeline. So I kind of thought that these are intermittent failures that would be gone after I restart the pipeline. They didn't, because the tests that are in AirSpec, from what I understand, they are actually not all the time, but sometimes they are end-to-end tests that are actually running the headless browser and actually executing the whole page code as if it is in a browser. Right, Andrew?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I was at the point where I basically investigated what was happening over here. I have this tab opened. Here you have the output of the test that shows basically what's wrong. And then my attention was basically in this particular line over there, where you can see the expectation failed. So the test expected to find the text deployed to environment 18. Instead, it found something like deployed to environment, then space or some other character, and then the rest of the text over here. So that's clearly is connected to my change. And maybe now this is the time to actually look at the change themselves. So what I did is I went to the deployment info component, which is basically responsible for this part of the merge request widget. And I replaced the previous implementation that didn't work with putting the environment text as a GL truncate component from the GitLab UI library. But it looks like this component being rendered in RSpec produces this sort of an output that we have seen right here, with the text being split somewhere in between. Even though from the visuals perspective, it works exactly as we would expect it to be, split in the text and basically providing the proper truncation. And if we check the actual kind of markup that is produced, you can see that there are two spans containing both parts of the environment name. There is no, like, or at least I don't see any extra spaces or characters. The only thing that is kind of suspicious is this right to left indicator over here that is basically added by the UI component. So from the visual side, there is nothing wrong, but from the test perspective, something is very wrong. And this is something that I want to fix right now. So in order to do that, what would be some first steps? So first, we need to run the test in question and verify that it is actually failing. So I have it here. It is handy to run those tests from what I learned with this nice flag only failures. Then it basically will run not the whole test file, which can take a minute or so to run, but only the tests that were recently failed. And that combined with the enable spring set to 1 variable, environment variable, also makes the test a little bit more fast. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, by the way, if I tell something weird.
Yep, nope, all good so far. I generally like to run tests with a specific line number if there's only like one failing. But only failures is great actually, as well.
That's also a very good point. But yeah, while this is running, I basically walk you through what I have discovered so far. So basically the line in question was this one. We expected the page within this JS pre-deployment to have content deployed to and then the environment name. So I tried to eliminate different weird symbols from the name and so on from this comparison, or like try to find a better comparison measure for this task. But so far I haven't really found anything. So the solution that both me and Andrew came up with independently was to actually just check the title attribute on the tag containing the environment name to make sure that the title is basically correct, because this is a part of the component that provides the truncation. So that works, I think. Yep. There is no failures anymore. But somehow I'm not sure if this is entirely enough to make sure that on the page we have the properly truncated component, because we still have no way to check that actually this thing is visible. So I was thinking that if we combine it with the separate test for the deployment info component that contains this change, with a truncate. So basically we test that we either maybe JavaScript test doesn't have this issue, or at least that we use the proper GitLab UI component, then we would have more or less good kind of evidence that what we render is what we want to see.
Yeah. Another interesting, I think maybe assertion to make in the RSpec components is that the text deployed to is also visible, because that's kind of linked to the like status of the deployment as well.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Shall I add it here in this RSpec file?
Yeah. So I think if you put back the original assertion and then just delete the environment name portion.
I will. So then we just put it back. And we add it back like that. And here, I guess we just remove this part, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So then I think this should do for the RSpec file. And what I was about to start with is adding a new spec file for the deployment info component, which actually was not present here before. And just add some basic view setup over here. So I will keep, I guess, one of those as a reference, because yet again, I'm not yet very well versed with how we write our jest test, but let's see how it will go. So the first thing, we need to prepare the setup where we will have our component mounted virtually in the jest environment. So let's just have it just like we have in another test to write. So we will have a wrapper variable, which we will populate using this factory. If we need any parameters, I will add them later. So far, I think we can directly.
I don't think we actually need the if block anymore.
Okay, that's nice.
At least we don't need it right now anyways. We can just go straight into the mounting.
All right, so we need to provide some props over here, and this is the deployment object and show metrics and computer deployment status, which is an interesting name.
Mm-hmm. I recall there was a big discussion about the name at some point when it was originally added.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So then that's what we would need over here. Do we even need to configure them, I wonder? Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah, so we do have a little bit of mock data available that we use in the deployment spec that you have open?
Here, right?
Yeah, the last import statement is a bunch of mock data that gives
Okay.
us a good skeleton structure of a deployment.
Deployment mock data. All right. Then basically, come on. So then maybe we do this. We provide some default object that we could use anywhere, which would be computer deployment status. And deployment is basically this deployment mock data is something that is compatible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Then I basically just get it over here. Deployment mock data, and we also need fix. Um, So the idea here is basically to have the default options, and these factory options would just override properties that we would be interested in.
So the props actually need to be in they have to have the attribute name props data as well.
Right.
Gets me every time.
So then this is actually like, so that's gonna be component props
Mm-hmm.
and area component options, which is like that, right?
Props data with a capital D.
Yeah, now it's really visible that I'm pretty rusty with Vue.
No.
Okay, but then it should work, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Then we can start writing our test cases, I guess.
Yep.
Nope. First, some basic setup with before each. So that's going to be run before every test. And I guess what we need to do is basically to ensure that we instantiate the components, something like that, with the default props. And then let's add the tear down, which would be wrapper deploy.
I don't know. I don't believe we actually need that anymore. There's some recent developments in view test utils
Really? Okay.
that calls destroy automatically on all wrappers. We'll just be scouring Slack for a second here. Yes, FYI, we've just enabled enable auto destroy in our view test suite for GitLab. That means you do not need after each wrapper.destroy anymore. All wrappers will be destroyed on each test run, providing better test isolation. It's still there, no problem. We'll remove it later. Yeah.
Amazing. So then, let's start with writing actual tests. And I think the first going to be deploying for a component. What does it have?
So I know a good portion of this component is very well tested in the deployment spec component to the left or to the right.
Yep, at least it does this part, so it makes sure that the component is rendered.
Yeah, but also this whole block about status messages and buttons. So I think we can focus primarily on the change the link basically. If we focus on the link, that should cover pretty much the only non-covered portion of this test suite.
Sounds good. And maybe I also add the information somewhere here. Here. So what we are actually going to test, we want to test that the environment name is properly rendered. I guess something like this. So let's see if the environment name is even there. For that, we would do what? The wrapper. Actually, we should have directly in the wrapper some stuff, right? So we don't need to find the component there.
I think we could probably take the text of the wrapper.
Yeah.
And see if it contains our environment name. That might be a good first step.
Do we have
So
something
to
like
get the
text or?
To get the text content of the wrapper, you just call .text.
Okay. Like that?
Yeah, and that'll get you the whole basically all of the text. So it's kind of replicating the RSpec test.
Okay, so then we probably can do something like that. So we would expect that this thing would contain deployment mock data. How does it look like?
I think it's name. Yeah, just name.
Just name, right? All right, let's see if that works.
So Just has some pretty fun flags that you can pass to it. My favorite is dot or dash O, which finds all all tests related to changed files. It might be a lot for this though, but it can also do a little bit of fuzzy matching. So you could do, if you ran yarn jest deployment underscore info, it would likely locate our singular file. You can pass the full path to it, of course, and you can also, there's some flags around the naming of the test suite as well. So you can, I don't know the flag off the top of my head, but there's a flag you can pass to it and then give it what you put in the describe block, and it'll match on that as well. Just has a lot of really fun flags, so it's.
Yeah, that's actually really worked. So you don't have to have a full path. Today I learned, pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so then here I started in the watch mode, so we can basically see whenever I change something, it will rerun. And now it is complaining that I didn't receive what we wanted because
Likely because that invisible character is still there.
Yeah, I think so. But then I thought that,
and it's not even visible here.
yeah,
Oh, that's
but
tedious.
then yeah. Interesting. What if I just
So theoretically, the GL truncate component should be very well tested to make sure that it actually displays what it's passed. So how would you feel instead about maybe
so we can make sure that this component is rendered, right?
Yeah, and make sure that we pass it the values that we want to pass it.
Yeah, very good point. So then instead of this, you could say, well, maybe we don't even need an extra describe block here. We could say that it should energel truncate or name. And then what we would do here is we would find this component, right? It should be a wrapper find components. And then we actually need to import the actual component over here, right?
Yep.
Then we basically expect it to be there, right?
Yeah, so we can expect that it exists.
Nope.
So we would call dot exists on the wrapper that we found. Because find component gives us another wrapper, right? But so we'll want the actual wrapper as well. Like in our expectation, we can call dot exists.
Yeah, okay, now I get it. Expect component exists. Be true, otherwise. Something like that. And then we should expect that we pass the proper property here, right? So then can we access VM here, right?
So we call props on the component instead.
Just like that.
And then that'll return
do
an
we need
object
braces or not? We do, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. And that returns an object of all the props. So we can either pass in a string with the name of the prop we're looking for, or we can call dot the prop, or if you want, we can assert kind of all the props are there in one assertion. Like if we want to check and make sure that with tooltip is passed and position middle is passed as well.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it all kind of depends on like
matching, right?
Yeah. It all kind of depends on like what you want to test for, of course, right?
And what else? If motif true. Something like that, right? It worked.
Look at that.
Amazing.
I think we could also maybe test for the presence of the link to the deployment name.
Is it by accident covered in this other test as well?
Because I don't believe so. deployment of text, deployment of exists.
But yeah, we can actually test that there is a link with the proper href, right?
Yeah.
So then we need also a GL link here. And I think it should be there probably. Then we find this guy over here. This. And then this guy should have href. Yeah, I believe. What are you not happy with? Oh no. Yeah.
So the way that GL-link is defined is that it doesn't actually have any props. It just passes on its attributes. So what we'll want to do here is instead of calling .props, we would call .attributes. And then because there's really only one that we care about,
yeah, we can basically just locate it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, worked.
All right.
Nice, then it looks good. So then we basically fixed the specs file originally and added some new test files or test cases for the component that we actually changed. So I think it should be more or less good to go to push it to the branch and check if the MR pipeline actually succeeds. That complaints or something?
Yeah, I think it wants it one more up.
Ah, yeah, okay, that worked. Cool. So yeah, that's that. We are running out of time. Hope this short session was useful in terms of how to author the Jest tests. Thanks, Andrew, for your assistance here.
Yeah, and maybe a nice little insight on where things are tested in the GitLab code base.
Exactly. All right, then have a great day and see you.